Hey, all you LDP Facebooking YouTubers. Chris Chaput here, and what the hell is that? So, I was on the same forum as you guys, if you're getting this, and was trying to figure out, okay, what in the hell's going on? Now, there's one picture, and I looked at it, and it kind of confused the hell out of me for a little while because I could not figure out how in the hell that was the thing was supposed to work. And then I looked at it a little bit differently and thought, okay, it's a guess, but this must be what's going on here. So rather than try to explain it, which is virtually impossible, it's easier for me to model something in SolidWorks. So I went ahead and made my first stab at it. And it could be wrong, but let's take a look. First of all, let's get rid of that ugly face and put this little one down here and perhaps take away that background image so that we could, I don't know, look at a Facebook, a SolidWorks session, get rid of that Facebook thing. Okay, so what I have here came about by making the following parts. I looking at the drawings said I think this is what's happening. Now, the Facebook photo in question shows what I believe is going to have this feature and this feature. My Alt key is sticking, but it's going to have this feature and some, but not all of that. I think get clamped inside this kingpin, well, what's usually a kingpin tower on a base plate. And that would allow you to have different inserts which fundamentally change the angle of attack. For this purpose, I just put a cylinder down there. Now there could be, this is kind of an innie as opposed to an outie. It could be the opposite way, but I put an axis of rotation there. Then I superimposed a hanger in that area, and the hanger alone looks like this. So I put the post on that. It could be exactly backwards, it could be removable, but that's what I think is going on. So the thing is ultimately going to twist. So let me go back to my assembly. I took some standard, meaning like 600 thousandths tall conical bushings, put them into the bushing seat. And what's interesting about this model is the bushing seat stays stable. It's easy for me to say. And the kingpin rotates through it. So basically what you have is this. And there's no reason why this couldn't work, but it works differently. So if, for example, you put a little slot or something to keep this head from moving back here, then in essence you could just rotate this lock nut here and get a clamping force. But I think the clamping force is going to be a little, it's going to bend those sides, which may or may not be that big a deal. But ultimately, that is what's going to provide some clamping force on the bushing seats in the middle and allow you to adjustment. So if that is held in place there, then you could spin this lock nut and it'd be adjustment in only one place, which is good because no skater wants to have to get out Allen wrenches or hold one thing in this hand. That's why people never take their boards apart, because there's 8 lock nuts and 8 bolts, and you got to get a screwdriver and Allen key on one side and turn it, and they're all not accessible. And skateboarders are fundamentally lazy, and so that would be good if it's a single adjustment plate. But the weird thing, though, is if you kind of watch this, is that this would bring, theoretically, that bushing along with it. Now that's hard to model in SolidWorks. I could have put the, maybe I'll even do that. Instead of having the bushing stay planted in the middle, I'd have it follow the hanger, the head of the hanger, or the top of the kingpin. It's kind of hard. But in any event, I think that's what is happening here, and more power to whoever thought of this. I didn't even look and see if I have collisions going on, but actually it was because this was rounded here, and I actually collide, so my model is not built. I just eyeballed this thing and banged it out based on how big in general, base plates are, and this could also be a 5/16 bolt and not a 3/8, not a real kingpin bolt. But I rather suspect that wouldn't be that smart of a move, since all the bushings you're going to find on the planet have a 3/8 inch ID. So you could do that, but nobody wants to reinvent the bushing. 3/8 is kind of overkill because this is not a load-bearing member of the system. All it really has to do is hold this thing together and provide that kind of compressive force. But because this whole thing here is actually supporting the rider, meaning this bearing or whatever is happening down there that this thing rotates, that's where much of the load is taken. So you just have a kind of an independent, kind of an independent compression system up here, much in the same way my fire trucks hold the weight of the rider with the bottom pivot and the hanger pivot, and then the weight of the rider is on those two pivots, making the kingpin and the compression system completely independent. So anyway, I probably talked too much here, but if you looked at that and just was having a general, kind of a WTF moment, I get it, because that thing is kind of weird, and I don't know how close my model ultimately comes to that, but it's in the ballpark. So let me know if you guys figure out who made that and if he's ridden it, and if there's any what am I trying to say? If there's any footage of him riding the damn thing. I'm like looking for my oh, by the way, I'm using like OBS Studio, and trying to figure out what am I doing here. Let's delete that. Let's oh, I got to take the background image. That's what's happening. That can expose that. Then I guess that can go back up there. Maybe that's how I started this whole thing. Anyway, yeah, let me know if there's some footage out there of a guy riding the thing, because all the engineering and all the greatest ideas on the planet aren't worth a damn unless you can get them made, get them out, skate on them, and have them work at a reasonable price and not make it a pain in the ass to adjust. Because maybe I'll speak for myself. I'm lazy as all fuck, and I don't want to sit there with a surgery kit and perform all this stuff. I just want to get my skate key out, lefty loosey, righty tighty, get it on and go. I'll change bushings, I'll change wheels, provided they're built-in bearings and ABAC 11 wheels. Or anyway, you know what I'm saying. One nut is all I can handle at a time, and everything should happen from that. But this looks promising, looks cool. I'm all about the innovation, but more details, man. I did what I could. You guys go ahead and chime in. Chris Chaput out.